Hi, my name is Jason Peacock. I'm an admissions officer at the University of North Texas. Today, I've been asked to present my How to Choose the Right College presentation. Um, I've been in admissions for a number of years, and I always enjoy working with students in determining if my school, the University of North Texas, is a good fit for them. Um, and over those years, I've kind of determined some things that I think are important for students to consider when they're looking at colleges. And hopefully, through this presentation, you'll be able to determine what questions are important to ask when you're meeting with admissions officers from other institutions. You'll hopefully determine what components you need to look at when you're reviewing colleges, because ultimately, at the end of this college search process, you will choose a school that provides you a good academic program for what you want to do, that will provide you financial aid and scholarship options to help make college affordable, and is going to provide that in an environment that's going to help you excel. So we'll talk about some things that I think you can look at when you're researching your schools. Let me switch over to my presentation. All right, I think you should see that now. Oh, hold on one second. There we go. So, how to choose the right college? First, I think we need to ask the question, why school? And a lot of this information is pretty basic, so I'll go through it pretty quickly. College graduates earn more. The opportunity to meet an incredibly diverse group of students from different geographic areas, different nations, different backgrounds, really provides a unique learning environment for students to engage in. And we find that students that have a college degree do not suffer from the same rates of unemployment as students that only have a high school diploma. So those reasons are easy to understand. When you start looking at colleges, students will find that there are different types of schools. And I think it's kind of important that we differentiate between some of these schools to kind of help you determine which types of institutions might be good matches. So there are 2-year schools and 4-year schools throughout DFW. There are a number of great 2-year institutions available. Generally, 2-year schools will cost less as they have support from the communities in which they are based. So those classes are a lot less expensive. They do offer athletics at many of these. Some even offer residential campuses. 4-year schools certainly will be a little bit more expensive, but will provide students the opportunity to earn bachelor's degrees. Some degree programs really are 4-year degrees, and even if students start at the community college and then transfer after 2 years, they may not be able to complete degrees in 4 years. So I would always recommend students, we'll talk about this more, know what major you're interested in, and that can tell you if a 2-year option might be a possibility for you, or if you would really need to start at a 4-year school. Public and private institutions, there are a number of both across DFW, UNT, TCU, UNT, UTA, UT Dallas are all public institutions. TCU, SMU, Austin College are church affiliated, are private institutions. So some of the differences between those, of course, cost. However, some private institutions, their overall cost might not be incredibly higher than what the state schools can provide, and in some instances, with financial aid and support, financial support from those private schools, it can certainly make cost less of an issue. Now, some of these private institutions may be church affiliated institutions. So I think it is important to know what kind of affiliation that might bring about into your academic side. Some schools might require you to attend chapel or take religious courses for graduation. Other church affiliated institutions may be historic and affiliation only, and not require any of those items. So finding out what might be included may be an important thing to ask. Ethnic minority institutions and HBCUs. Texas has had a number of HBCUs over the years. Texas Southern University in Houston, Prairie View A&M, and we had a couple of ethnic minority institutions. But what we are seeing is an increase in ethnic minority institutions across Texas. UNT is a minority serving institution now. We were designated as a Hispanic serving institution as of January of this year. And this is a demographic change we are seeing at colleges, state schools across the state of Texas, as we're beginning to reflect what the population of the state looks like more and more. There are a few same-sex schools that you might come into contact with while you're doing your research. There are very few, though. Even Texas Woman's University has been co-ed for 30 plus years. And there are going to be a few specialty major schools available. These are schools which are going to focus on a narrow band of degree programs. Colorado School of the Mines comes to mind. It's a college in Colorado that focuses on engineering and science courses related to mining industries. So those are a few of the different types of schools that you may come into contact with as you're doing your research. Now, what questions should you have, or what should you look for in schools? First and foremost is something called accreditation. It's what provides value to your degree. It's what schools will look at to determine if you're eligible to get into a graduate school program. Employers may require employees attend schools that are regionally accredited for employment options. And it's what ensures that if you start at a school and you don't like it, or for whatever reason you need to change schools, this regional accreditation is what ensures your classes will be able to transfer from one school to another school. So it is very important. Now, most of you will likely be looking at schools in the Texas area. Now, all schools in Texas should be accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. And that is an accreditation agency which covers everything from Texas to the Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina area. So that entire southeastern swath of the U.S. Is Southern Association accredited. Now, if you're looking to go to a school in Oklahoma, you may need to be sure that it's accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. This is officially called the Higher Learning Commissions of the North Central Association. So there's that regional component again. If you're going to school in California, it's the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. This is important, again, because if you go to a school that's not regionally accredited, you may spend a lot of money and not get a lot of value for the courses that you've taken. Now, outside of this regional accreditation, which is applied to colleges and universities, there is a program or academic accreditation which students can get. That is based upon your academic degree program. There may be an accreditation agency related to it. So for students that are interested in going into engineering, there's something called ABET accreditation, ABET. It's the Accreditation Bureau of Engineering and Technology. And basically this is an accreditation agency that'll come in and look at an engineering school to see if it is meeting higher requirements than schools that don't. So basically, schools that are ABET accredited, there are engineering firms that will only hire and accept interns from ABET accredited engineering schools. And there is some benefit in receiving your professional engineering licensure. For engineering, ABET accreditation is something you want to look for. But if you're interested in education, the national NCATE accredited is what the accreditation agency is. If you're business, it's the American Association of Colleges and Schools of Business. So there's a lot of different accreditation agencies, each tied to a major. So again, knowing what major you're interested in will allow you to do a little research to find out if there is a program or academic accreditation that can benefit you on the academic side. Now, when you're going through the college search process, you're going to meet some incredible colleagues from admissions offices at schools around the U.S. Admissions people are really helpful and they're great resources for students to take advantage of, but I always recommend it's important for students to also connect to someone on campus. So I think, reaching out to faculty or knowing about the faculty that will be teaching you for the next 4 years is an important aspect of the college search process. So every school will have their faculty members listed online by department usually. So you can look at the department faculty list and find out what faculty members' research interests and study interests are. You'll be able to find out where they went to school. You can, in many instances, can even see some of the papers they may have published. So it gives you a good indication of who will be teaching you, and then all of those professors have email addresses. And I don't think it would hurt for a prospective student to say, I'm a political science student interested in your school, and I saw you do research on constitutional studies, and that's something I'm really interested in. I was wondering if you could tell me more about your program or why I should choose your school. Admissions officers, we're happy to answer those questions. Faculty members, I think it'll tell you a lot about the institution. So it is important to learn about the faculty members. Location of college is key. So where the school is located. When I was a senior in high school, that's not something I really considered. I met a really helpful admissions officer my senior year of high school at a college fair. I toured their campus, fell in love with it. It had the degree program I wanted. It was the only college I applied to. Luckily, I got in, and while it was pretty expensive, I had an incredible opportunity to go to school there. I had great experiences, met some of the best friends of my life. But I was born and raised in Dallas, and the college that I went to was in a small rural town of about 30,000 people. And so that was a very different environment that I moved into. And even though I loved the school and had great classes, it wasn't the right community for me. So I ended up transferring back home, going to the community college for a little bit before I transferred to UNT and graduated. So size, I think size of institution should be a factor into your determination. What kind of environment are you going to be most successful in, not just in the location, the community at large, but the campus community? There are certainly some drawbacks to going to a large state school. Some of those initial classes may be in larger lecture hall class sizes. So class sizes usually skews a little bit larger. But with large schools, there's often far more opportunities with regards to internships, with regard to academic programs and specializations, with regards to research opportunities. So there really is a give and take. Smaller schools may certainly offer much smaller class sizes for those initial freshman level classes, but there may not be as wide of an option for some of those other areas that a large school can provide. So don't discount one or the other, but do factor into what type of environment you're going to do best in. So cost is an important factor for college. When you're looking at college costs, schools, private schools running 50, 60, $70,000 a year. College lasts 4 years. So these are really large commitments that students are making financially when choosing a college. So I think it's important students ask the questions and really find out how their money is being applied to the institution and what benefits they get from those tuition costs. So every school will operate with a cost of attendance. Cost of attendance is the big figure that's used for financial aid purposes, and it includes everything: room, board, tuition fees, books, transportation, everything. So this is the kitchen sink cost, so to speak, that colleges will offer. Very often students will ask me, what's your tuition? And I can certainly answer that question, but again, tuition is only one small component of the cost of attendance. Um, Tuition and fees are usually tied together. State schools usually have larger fees than private schools, but smaller tuition amounts. Fees at state schools run about 30%, 35% of tuition and fees, a smaller amount at private schools usually. But fees are used, at least at state schools, to pay for facilities and access to go to the athletic events and the rec center, student activities, things of that nature. Those are what the fees are used to pay for. Books, depending upon your degree program, can run $500, $1,000 a semester. If you're a musician or an art student, those supplies can certainly run up the costs. Housing and food, room and board expenses, at least at UNT, run about $10,000 a year. Students have choices of, whether they want the 5-day meal plan or the 7-day meal plan. So there is some variance in that. And then, of course, parking and travel costs. How much is it going to take for you to get back and forth to school? If you're looking to go to school in Boston, it may cost a little bit more on that end. So when you're looking at college costs, determine each of these and the impact that they're going to have on you. So other factors, majors. What academic degree program are you in? At some schools, you can still be undecided and start as an undecided student your freshman year. At my institution, you have to have a major because students that come in undecided, they don't graduate, and they don't graduate on time if they do graduate. We think it's very important to get students on a path when they arrive in school so we can help them navigate that path to graduate in a timely fashion. So doing some self-searching in high school to really try and determine what academic and what career paths are going to be the right ones for you, I think is very important. Support services, we talked about the fees that you're paying, and these fees go to pay for everything from learning academic support services like the math lab and the writing lab, supplemental instruction, tutoring and mentoring services, but they also support other areas. Student Money Management Center helps our students deal with the financial transition into college and dealing with their student loans. They do all the student loan counseling that's required by the federal government. But they'll also help students budget, do their personal budget, because getting to college, first time you've had a transcript or first time you've had a credit card or a bank account in many instances. So they can kind of help ease that transition. We also have health services. So if you're sick, if you need to see a doctor, we have those services available on campus. We have counseling services. If you want to talk to a counselor about a breakup or about academic stress, these services are things that many students have paid for. So finding out what you have access to can really help you be successful once you're on that campus. How campus life is important. How active is campus? Are there a lot of things going on in addition to what you'll be doing in class to keep you involved and interested in the school? So student activities and organizations. finding out what clubs are available. And then I even think reaching out to students that are currently in leadership positions of those organizations, being able to ask them, what they do with their organizations and find out if it's something you might be interested in joining once you are there. Talking to current students is a really candid way to get, I think, an inside look at schools. I think I'll talk a little bit in a moment about some other resources. But find out how you can get involved, how active campus is. Every school has an event calendar that you can look at to see what events, what lectures, what entertainers the school is bringing in, what movies they're showing, and just kind of get an idea of, is that campus environment the kind of environment that's going to keep me occupied and satisfied if I'm a student there. Now, other factors that students may want to consider, safety and security on campus. So every school is required to submit a Clery Act report annually, which lists all criminal activity which has occurred on campus in the previous year. So it's an easy way to find out how safe a campus is by looking at a school's Clery Act report, and you can go back several years to look at the archive. It does not necessarily include the neighborhood surrounding campus. If that is not campus property, it may not be covered in the Clery Act, so you may want to do a little due diligence and look at reports for the neighborhoods campuses are in, but it is a good resource to get an overview. Does a school have a service where students can call and have someone escort them back to their dorms late at night? Are there emergency phones on campus? If the student has a flat tire, is there someone on campus that they can call to get assistance? So again, these are things that you may not really consider, but certainly knowing the information beforehand can make it a lot easier to deal with if you're making that choice. So questions to ask, again, are things happening on campus? How lively of a campus is it? Academics is the primary reason why you were at college and should certainly be a focus. But the college experience is about so much more than just what goes on in the classroom. And it's important that you're going to be able to be engaged in those opportunities. Does the college seem student-centered? What does this question mean? Well, how important is the student experience on that campus? When the class is over, are you able to meet with the professor and ask questions about the lecture? Or as soon as class over, does the professor run back to his lab to get back to his research? How important is that student experience to the university? And then, do current students seem fulfilled and happy to be there? We mentioned reaching out to current organizations or club teams to speak with current students about the programs there. But I think coming from your schools, students that have gone to colleges that you're now considering. So you have a wealth of resources that have already blazed the trail before you, who have already been admitted to those schools and gone through financial aid and gone through the scholarship processes. So I think reaching out to some of those contacts you have and say, hey, you're at UNT, I'm thinking about applying as a senior. What was your admissions process like? What was the campus like while you were still on it? And I think a fair question to ask is, how do you think the university's response to the quarantine, the COVID closures was handled? Because I think that can tell students a lot about a university too, is how they dealt with that change. So again, reaching out to current students, ask your counselors to see if there are any students they are aware of that they could put you in touch with that have attended that school if you don't know them directly. So how do you gain information? Surfing the web is a great way to get information about academic programs and campuses. Definitely, we encourage you to use our websites. And then if you ever have questions or need clarifications, email us. Email the admissions office, email your admissions representative, and ask. We are excited to help you. Obtain college publications. So, getting on mailing lists, I think, is very important. And I think getting materials and information from multiple schools can help you determine which ones might be good options. So I strongly encourage students get on prospective mailing lists. That's how we invite you to special events. That's how we know you're interested in. That's how we know what information to send to you. UNT, our website, go.unt.edu, easy to fill out your name and address and get on our mail list. Every school will have a similar online material information request system that you can add your information as a prospective student. Compare choices. I really think making a spreadsheet and kind of talking about what your 4 or 5 or 6 college choices are on the rows, and then the columns should be some of these different things that we talked about. Who are they accredited by? What was your faculty interaction like? What is the cost of the school? What are housing options like? You can put some of those things in the columns, and once you fill out that spreadsheet, you're really able to kind of determine, which schools might have the combination of factors that indicate it's going to be the best combination for you. Just because your number one college, when you're looking at your number one college, you might find out that your number 4 college really has a different combination of factors that you think would be better for you. Don't get hung up on colors or mascots or things like that, because while those are kind of important in the big picture, it's that academic experience and how you will be able to grow and prepare yourself for success after college. Visit the campus. Campuses are closed for the most part right now. I know my campus is hoping on reopening beginning in June. So we do hope that there will be more in-person campus tour options. So we do always encourage students, keep advised of those campus tour options. It's the best way to really experience a campus. Not through the books that we send out, not through talking to us on the phone, but by planting your feet on campus, really getting a feel for campus, the student body of campus. You'll know when you're on campus if it's the right school. So we look forward to hosting you on our campuses very soon, and encourage you never choose to go to a college without visiting a campus. Attend the big special prospective student events. Getting on that mailing list will allow us to invite you to those special student events. So do get engaged and involved in those. And finally, reach out to our admissions officers. Admissions people were great resources. Get to know the admissions officer for your school. Email them questions. That can certainly help build the relationship and really help determine if the school is going to be a good fit for you. So never hesitate to reach out to your admissions person. That pretty much covers the information that I think is important for students to begin reviewing. I certainly hope that it has been helpful. My email address is peacock@unt.edu. So if any of you do have questions in regards to this presentation or about UNT in general, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. But we hope you gained some information from this presentation and that it was helpful. And we look forward to seeing you visiting our campuses in the near future. Have a great afternoon. Thanks so much.